edition. This proceeds the upcoming circuit to give us the fastest lap they can do. Just have a discussion with our co-host. We are now welcoming one of our I think you're leading the second in the...
Thank you.
So you're doing pretty good this season, mate. Are you looking forward to Bahrain?
Yeah, I guess I do. I've just done like practice like I always do, and up to now
is this a track that you like?
I think I quite like it, but I've done it a lot in career mode, and in career mode it's always the AI is very strong, so you always get a feeling of hate towards the track because you can't win, you can never win. But once I drive online, I'm always quite good at it, so I think I'm better at it than I think.
Oh, okay, that's good then. Personally, I really struggle with this track. I think it's quite a technical circuit. There's a lot of cambers, heavy braking zones, twisty corners. In particular, I've actually been through earlier and noted this because there are a couple of tricky points. I don't know if you agree, but turns 9 and 10, 9 being the slight left that leads into the heavy braking left of 10 before the third DRS zone. Very, very tricky. It's almost a left turning braking situation. Do you know which one I'm on about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's like the lock-up corner of the calendar, I guess. It's I think you almost have to slide lock up to get through it good. And I think when you run wide, you totally lose the car. It's going to be the rear is going to break out and you're going to spin almost. And if you go too tight, you'll probably lose 2 or 3 tenths. So it's every lap again. You got to try and get it perfect, which is very difficult.
Yeah, it's. I think it's one of the areas of the track where we're going to see not a lot of mistakes, but maybe where the mistakes will happen. The second one on my list is a couple of corners later, actually. So we go past that, down the DRS, we come to turn 11. And then you come through towards it's like an S-bend, it's quite the iconic corner of Bahrain. And it's the actual corner of 12, where it's the fast right sweeping corner. But if you touch the curb on the right-hand side, it just absolutely stabilises the car. So it's another place where I think we're going to see a lot of time lost or time gained. You have to keep it very tight on turn 12 to actually get that corner working. But again, I think we're going to see a couple of mistakes made on that corner. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's that corner. In a race you can take a little bit less risk, and if you can't make the corner because you're going a bit too wide, you can just lift, and it's good for the tire life and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be very big mistake to do that. But in qualifying, you should really slightly touch that curb, and then you can that would be the best. But if you touch it too much, the lap is gone, you spin, and you can't even control the car anymore. Once you go there.
Yeah, that's right. It's very tricky. But another thing I want to talk about before we get on with your outlap and the hot lap is the DRS zones at Bahrain. There's 3 of them, and each individual DRS zone has its own detection and activation zone. In particular, the home finish straight, and then the one that just happens after turn 3. So you get a lot of DRS zones in this circuit, but you have to work for each and every one. But my question to you, Warislander, is the home finish straight DRS zone. If you benefit from that, and you're already now in front, but then straight away the person behind now has the ability of the second DRS. So do you think it's even worth having the second DRS zone at Bahrain?
Well, I think the second straight is a lot shorter. So normally if you can overtake someone, and he probably wouldn't have such a great exit unless he goes under you. But I think generally it will provide some good racing, that's for sure. And I have never thought about it like that. I think it's generally nice to have 2 DRS zones because you can also gain on the first one and then finally pass on the second, if you're just a little bit further away. So I don't see it as a negative thing.
Yeah, okay, I get that, yeah. I hear what you're saying about the one between turn 3 and 4 being much shorter, and somebody who's just been been past won't really have the distance to come back at you. So yeah, I get that. And likewise, between turns 10 and 11, the third DRS zone, it's not really long enough. Maybe aids.
No, and the corner is also too. The corner is not too. Is too fast. So, you know, when you're going to try and break someone out there, it's going to be very, very dangerous, and you will probably get some front wing damage, both of you. So it's only DRS zone to catch up, I guess.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying there. Yeah. So the last but not least, before we let you go out on your outlap. The tyre degradation and the tyre wear at Bahrain, it's very tricky, especially in the hot desert temperatures. Do you think it's going to be a big part in people's strategy, whether people take it easy or go fast straight away? And second to that, do you think it's a one-stop?
I think as long as you keep it medium hard, it should be quite good to do. And if you just manage your throttle through the right areas, I think you can. I've done a few practice races now, and I've not had too many problems with tire wear. So I think if you just drive consistent, normally it shouldn't be a problem. Okay. If you do the one stop with medium hards. I feel it like that, but.
Good stuff. Well, I'm very intrigued to see what happens in qualifying in the race, but the moment of the hour is yourself taking us on a hot lap around Bahrain. So just for our viewers,
I'll try not to choke it.
So for our viewers that are watching live or back on YouTube, the Warislander is going to go out on an outlap. He's going to just give us a bit of a discussion about what he's thinking around the lap. And then once he does his outlap and he's warmed up, I'll take over and do a bit of a commentary. But do remember, guys, the Warislander doesn't have high fuel, the maximum fuel load available to him. We have tried to do the different settings to be able to do like a qualifying setup, but it won't allow us to. So please remember that it's not the fastest fuel mode available to the Warislander. So Warislander, if you want to get your car ready, leave your pit box and take us on your outlap and describe to the viewers your thoughts of Bahrain.
Yep. I think the times will be even a bit quicker because it's, you know, midday now, which should help. But I'm not quite sure if I will go for the best lap I can, because probably I will fuck it up then. I'll try to go as quick as possible, but. So you're coming into the first turn, you gotta be very careful on the throttle, because when you go too hard on the throttle through that second corner, it can really spin you out and you're done. Then I prefer third gear through here because it gives you good traction and you can go on the throttle easy. Then here, this is the technical part, you know, you really gotta try and keep it in 5, try and go full through there, back to 1 for the rotation here, quickly up to 2 so you won't spin out or spin the wheels. Then of course the most tricky corner of all, try to not lock up, take a bit of a straight line into it and get a good exit. Then DRS open, warm up those tires a bit. This is also a tricky corner, a bit technical. Try to go towards that curve over there. Then of course not hit this curve over here. Try to go nice and tight to it. Back to 3 early on the throttle. A bit of warm up again. Third gear through here and then you start the lap.
Okay, fantastic halt, Mr. Warislander. So here we go. Across the first DRS zone, that is the home finish straight. Coming down towards 330 kilometers an hour before the braking zone as we come to turn 1. Very heavy braking zone, very tight corner. Where we go towards the second DRS detection zone and activation zone opens up. Short run down to turn 4. Down the gears all the way down to 2. Up quickly through 3 and 4 as we come to these tight technical sections through 5, 6 and 7. And here we come to the heavy braking zone of turn 8. And then again the tricky corners of 9 and 10. the corner leans out there, leans in, so it can throw the rear end out if people have the rear axle or the braking set to the rear. Coming up to turn 11 now, as we come to the iconic S-bend of Bahrain. Staying off this corner on the right hand side. That will spin you if you clip that. That is where we're going to see some people make mistakes. Coming through 13. Heavy on accelerator. As we come down to the last two corners of 14 and 15. The first one being 14. And the ever so slight corner of 15. Not really a corner. Straightens the car up, sticks to the left, DRS opens up, and we come across the line with a 130.960. Now obviously, great lap there.
Quite calm, so that
it was good. Obviously the maximum fuel load will shave off so much. We just try to think what else we could do to get that faster really. Unfortunately we can't do a qualifying session. It won't allow us with one person. Which is unfortunate, but that was a really tidy lap there, Waislander. How did you feel it went?
I took it quite easy still, you know. I think that was a banker lap, I would say. But
Okay.
I think this was my first lap on the softs in this kind of, you know, session. So I think it felt, you know, only turn 13, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Was a bit, missed the apex a bit, but for the rest of it, I think it was okay.
That was good. No, it looked tidy. There's no major mistakes. It did look. I suppose it looked conservative. Let's say.
Yeah, let's put it that way. But I don't want to go off for everyone on the stream.
That's perfect. No, we've achieved exactly what these sessions are intended for, just to give the viewers an idea of what our drivers in F2 are thinking when they go around the lap of Bahrain. And to be honest with you,
Yeah.
You've done that much more successfully than I would have done. I think it's a very, very technical circuit. It really is truly difficult.
Yeah, it is tricky. You really gotta, you know, you just gotta throw it in sometimes and pure on feeling, you know, some corners.
Yeah.
Just when you think, you know, hearing the gear you're in and stuff like that, you just
Don't
gotta,
come in,
you know,
stay
just
out.
react and stuff like that.
Yeah. So just stay
Oh,
out.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, stay out, because I want to discuss a few things. So just do a fast lap, the fastest lap you can possibly do, while I discuss a few things to our viewers that might want to benefit from what you do. So you see Waislander there, go down to first gear, then quickly back up to second.
Yeah, this is still sort of AI, so I'm starting now, okay?
Ah, okay, that's fine, yeah. So what I want to talk to our viewers about is what Waislander does when he comes to a corner. Now you see, he does a late breakdown, late shift down. That's to get the rear axle rotating at the better torque rate, and it gets the car turning. So when you see racers do a late shift down, it's because it gets the car reactive. Again there, down to first gear, back up to second. The quick upshift is to stop the car sliding out on the rear axle. Here we are, the difficult corner of 9 and 10. Not full braking, we only saw half braking there. On the accelerator straight away, gets the car straightened up as much as he can, and just gets that traction pinned to the ground to get this car going as fast as possible. Another tricky corner coming up here. Again, you can just see the throttle being feathered ever so slightly. You don't want full throttle on that corner before. That was pinned through there. And again, you just seen the brake ever so slightly feather on. It's not full braking. Let the car slow down, let the gear shift. Take the torque down naturally. It's called engine braking. It stabilises the car in the braking zones. And the DRS is open.
Not so much fuel in the car anymore, so I'm just going to take it a bit easier now.
So just before the Waislander set his fastest lap, you heard him say about he leaves the DRS closed on his out lap. That's to warm the rear tyre up. If you open the DRS flap on the out lap, you release the
Now, if you
pressure
open
on
it
the
now,
rear.
you will be down.
Yeah,
If you
so,
open it while warming up the tires.
yeah, so you leave it down to get the pressure on the rear tyre, get the rear tyres warm. I think we may see running out of fuel ever so soon, but
Showing some fuel-saving techniques now.
yeah. So for any of our viewers that are watching that want to learn, fuel saving would be shifting up incredibly quickly. So rather than letting the revs go to the purple section, halfway through the red, you would upshift, and then when you're coming to a braking zone, don't downshift as quickly. Leave it as high, leave the gears as high as possible. This means that when you put the accelerator back on, you're not revving as high. This all adds to the fuel savings. So just for our viewers, Warisander, what are your tyres on now? You want to come in?
Yeah, 31% left,
Oh, wow.
left rear. That's the worst.
There you go. So that's an out lap and 3 hottish laps, and they are pretty much at their fade out point. So yeah, it's,
you want me to go out again, or is it good like this? Yeah, because the fuel was gone. I thought it was.
Watching may not be familiar with the techniques that we implement, so that's the reason we carried on going. But yeah, it's fantastic there, mate. I really enjoyed that, watching you go around Bahrain. I may use that as a bit of a coaching technique for my laps.
Yeah, but do you do without assists or with assists?
Unfortunately, I do. Since 2019 came into effect, I'll start again. In 2018, I only used racing line and medium traction control. Since 2019 has come in, I've actually started using anti-lock brakes.
Yeah, I get you, because when this game came out, I thought like it felt so much, I think maybe a bit more realistic, but also harder, also with the locking and stuff. But after a while, I tried doing some online races, you know, just open lobbies and stuff, and I just didn't really feel how should I say it, very good after winning, you know. I thought I could. It just feel better when you win without any help or something, you know. I get some people do it, but for me it just feels better and feels.
Yeah.
I think it's also quicker, you know, when you can manage it.
Oh, of course.
But it is. You know, it needs a lot of practice per track. So when I do career mode or something, I don't do no assist as well. I just put them on and.
See, last year I actually it was the first year I ever started racing in league racing. 2018 was my first Formula 1 game, which probably explains why I'm lacking the pace towards everyone else. But I actually started in cockpit view, and it was only when I started. Go on.
No, go on. I wasn't saying anything.
I started cockpit view for the realism. You know, being in the car. You know, seeing
me too.
And I was really slow. I was okay in the career mode; it was fine. But then when I started league racing, I was like, "Why am I so slow?" And then everyone told me, "Well, everyone uses, you know, the T-cam." I'm like, "Oh, really? Oh, okay."
Yeah, it is.
And when
I also like, you know,
so go on, Warisander.
Yeah, so when I also started racing a bit, I think it was F1 2016, so I'm not so long in this game either. But I also always wanted to do as realistic as I could do it. So also without assists and stuff, but I wasn't even capable of doing it. Certainly 2016 was a lot more difficult. And I also did, you know, cockpit fuel. I once even wanted to do 100% races, but you know, it makes no sense actually. And I think it's a lot more fun like this with T-Cam.
Yeah, I mean,
and quicker.
If you compare it to karting, let's say, you know, I could do maybe a 2.5 hour karting session. It'd be tiring, it'd be fatiguing, but your attention span is much more realistic when you're there and doing it. When you look at an electronic screen, it's much difficult because it's almost like you're not there. The graphics have improved, and you know the realism is there for a computer screen, but you know, you haven't got the adrenaline, the wind, the actual physical forces. So you know, with esports, you tend to drift off. So I agree with what you're saying. 100% races are very difficult, very, very difficult. I think it's a big step up.
But it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all as well, because you know what we're doing. We also having events from, like, I think all events take 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and that's the same as a Formula 1 race. So you know, it just fits into each other quite good, I guess.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do 100% races. It's no need for it.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I totally agree. Right, okay, so we're just coming up to the 7:30 UK time, which is 30 minutes before we start our qualifying and our main event of the Bahrain Grand Prix. So, Warislander, I'll let you get off and do your last few laps or preparation, whatever you do to prepare for a race.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much for joining us today, mate, and also for
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. But thank you for offering to be co-host for the future Hotlaps episodes. I appreciate that, mate.
Yeah, I really like it. So
good stuff. So
I really want to do that for Mr. P. So
yeah,
I think it's good like this.
It is sad to see Mr. P go. It was great starting it with him, but I'm sure we'll do him proud going forward with you and myself. So yeah, thanks again, mate. I'll let you get off, do your race preparations, your qualifying preparations, and good luck in the qualifying and race, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you on the stream. Goodbye.
Goodbye, mate. So there you go, guys. That was the Warislander taking us round on the hot laps of Bahrain. I think he did extremely well. To say he didn't have the maximum fuel load. We're going to see much faster laps in qualifying, obviously, because he's got the maximum fuel loads. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I do. It's really good to see the insights from the racers that actually are involved in the league, actually race week in, week out. What they do for each corners, the braking zones, and for anyone watching, we do like to try and explain, if you're new to Formula One, especially esports, we do like to try and explain the ins and outs of racing per se, especially when it comes to things like gear changes, braking, and all that. So we will try and explain this each week as we bring you the Hot Laps episode. If you've enjoyed the Hot Laps episode, do give us a shout out. I'm Energy Dan. You can find me on Twitter. But again, we'll be doing this race roughly about 1 hour before the race on a Wednesday for the F2 Equal Performance. And I'll be joined with Warislander, who's my new co-host for the remainder of the season. So yeah, guys, we've got roughly 30 minutes in the UK until we start off the qualifying round 9 of Bahrain. So I'll sign off there, guys. I'll see you in half an hour live on YouTube for the F2 Equal Performance round 9 Bahrain Grand Prix qualifying and Grand Prix. Take care, guys, and see you very soon.